I'd like to introduce Francone. Frank has spent the past several years educating Colorado citizens about Obamacare and the need for increased choice in health care. He holds a law degree from the University of California, Berkeley, and is a healthcare and law policy fellow for the Centennial Institute. This year, Frank and Dr. Jill Vasicchio formed a nonprofit organization, Healthcare Options at Work, to educate the public about free market-based healthcare options. He is chairman of that group and has spoken to thousands of Coloradoans in the last few months about Amendment 69. I welcome Frank Francone to the podium.
I want to first thank my wife. She drove all the way out here from Denver just to have some literature for us. So I'd actually like one copy of that myself if I could have it, and then pass it out to everybody because there's some stuff in there I really want y'all to see, because it's Amendment 69 is amazing. So Amendment 69 is one of, in my opinion, oh, thank you, Frankie, one of the two most important votes that you will cast this November. One of them's for president. We got to get rid of Hillary Clinton, okay? Duh. But Amendment 69 is actually one of those fundamental transformation amendments that will forever change the way Colorado is. Colorado will no longer be the state that I grew up in. It'll no longer be the state that you live in. So Amendment 69 doesn't just have to be beat. We need to crush Amendment 69, because if we beat Amendment 69 52-48, I'm going to be up here again in 2 years talking to the good people of Washington County, Colorado, about the next version of Amendment 69, because they're going to try it again, and they're just going to keep trying it till it passes. So one of the most important things I want to get over today, I want to talk about what's in Amendment 69, but I want to get you guys, and this literature that we're handing out has just 2 little pages of talking points on it about Amendment 69. And when you talk to your neighbors, where you can copy these and you can put them on people's doors. It's really important that we get the word out about Amendment 69 because people do not know about it. And Amendment 69 needs to be beat, and it needs to be beat like a drum, and it needs to be crushed. So here's why we need to beat it so badly. Amendment 69 is what they call a universal health care plan. It's a single-payer plan. What Amendment 69 will do is, if it passes, 15 unappointed, unelected bureaucrats will start the process of taking over your health care. And I want to read actually the most important language in Amendment 69. If you all have this piece of paper in front of you, do you see the stuff that's that's yellow highlighted? Follow this along with me, because this is really important. ColoradoCare is not subject to administrative direction or control by any state executive, department, commission, board, bureau, or agency. So Amendment 69 creates this ColoradoCare, which is a political subdivision of Colorado, and it is on its own. It answers to nobody, and nobody has any control. So the state auditor, for example, my wife sits on the board of the Regional Transit District. Well, the state auditor comes in and audits them periodically. State auditor cannot audit ColoradoCare. They get to set up their own auditor. They don't have term limits. They don't have campaign finance controls the way every other elected official in the state has. This is an entity that is completely independent of the remainder of the government of Colorado. Now, here's the kicker, and these are the numbers that the ColoradoCare people talk about. They think they're going to have a budget of about $38 billion a year. $38 billion a year. Anybody know what the entire state budget of Colorado was last year? And you don't get to answer, because you know the answer. Yes. Yeah, sure. Bonnie's right. It was about $25 billion. So what we're creating is a second government in Colorado that doesn't answer to the first, and it's going to have a budget of almost twice what the entire state of Colorado has. That government agency, ColoradoCare, will immediately become the most powerful and influential government agency in the state, and it answers to nobody. Now here's how it's going to work if it passes. 15 interim trustees will be appointed. 60% of them will be appointed by Democrats, 40% by Republicans. Those 15 trustees are unelected, and as we saw before, they don't account to anybody, they don't answer to anybody. And they have 3 years to make up a health care plan. I don't know how many people have actually read Amendment 69. Anybody? Okay. It's only 12 pages long. Now, did anybody in there find out whether it actually lays out a health care plan? Yeah, Bonnie's right. Amendment 69 is not a health care plan. What it is it gives these 15 interim trustees the power to make up a health care plan. So you'll hear the ColoradoCare people go around and say, well, you know, this lady I know, her insurance company wouldn't cover her chemotherapy drug, and that's why we need ColoradoCare. Well, Amendment 69 does not say whether any particular drug or any particular medication or any particular treatment is going to be covered. That's up to the 15 interim trustees to make up that plan. So at the end of 3 years, the interim trustees will have written regulations that stand like about this. There'll be 10,000 pages of regulations, and they will have decided what gets covered and what doesn't. And so at the end of 3 years, your insurance gets canceled, and whatever those 15 unelected, unappointed, unaccountable bureaucrats decided was going to be ColoradoCare, you have to accept it. And how many people are comfortable with that? I don't see a single hand, and it's interesting. I talk to audiences all over the state, and it doesn't really matter whether it's a Democrat audience or an unaffiliated or a Republican audience. Almost nobody is comfortable with that. We're voting for something, and we have no idea what we're voting for. This is worse than Obamacare. This is one of those you have to pass the bill to know what's in it. Well, we have to pass the bill before they even start making up what's in it. Okay, so that's actually, in my opinion, the biggest flaw of Amendment 69 is the fact that we have really no idea what's in it, and the people who are going to make it up don't answer to anybody. So, second thing is, they say that they're going to have to raise taxes by $25 billion in order to finance this. $25 billion. That would give Colorado the highest income tax in the entire state. Now, you'll hear the proponents of ColoradoCare go around and say, well, you know, but you only pay 3% here, and they pay 6%. These people... Bottom line, Amendment 69 is a 10% tax on all Colorado income with a couple of very minor exceptions. 10% tax on all Colorado income. Now, how many people here own a home? Okay, any of you thinking you might sell it sometime in the next 20 years? Okay, if ColoradoCare passes, you will pay 10% on that sale to ColoradoCare. That's the part of the 10% tax. How many people get Social Security? Okay, there's a 10% tax on Social Security. How many veterans do we have in here? Okay, ColoradoCare is terrible for veterans because you already have access to TRICARE and the Veterans Administration. So your medical care doesn't change at all, but guess what? You're not exempted from the 10% tax. So you're paying more than you do now, but you're getting the same coverage. Make sure you tell all of your veteran friends that, because most of them don't know that. How many people are in Medicare? Okay, me. Okay, it's the same as veterans. Your Medicare will stay the same. You'll keep paying premiums into Medicare just the way you are, but your taxes are going to go up by 10%. So the taxes are really burdensome. The taxes are onerous. You don't want And they pick and they choose, okay? The people that benefit from this are people who don't make money. People on fixed incomes, people who serve their country, are treated especially unfairly by ColoradoCare. The third and maybe the most important point about ColoradoCare is every government-run healthcare program runs into the same problem. And that is when something gets to be free, everybody wants more of it. And so, for example, in Japan, which has government-run healthcare, my partner Jill Vecchio talked to the Japanese Japanese Interior Minister. Their doctors see on average 150 patients a day. They get 4 minutes with their patients. Why? Because everybody wants something that's free. In England right now, in a whole section of England, hospitals are closing for 3 months a year because they can't keep up with the costs. They're running into the cost barrier. In addition to that, patients who are either overweight or smoke are denied surgery in England. Why? Because everybody wants so much medical care, there's not enough money to pay for it. Cost is a huge problem, and Willie Brown ran the state of California for many years, one of the smartest guys that ever was in politics. And basically he said, look, when you start with a public works program, the public really has to understand that the initial cost estimates are just the down payment, okay? And if the public ever knew what that was actually going to cost, they'd never pay for it, they'd never pass it. That's what I think is happening in ColoradoCare. That $25 billion they're going to have to raise taxes, that's a 10% tax. My belief is it's going to be more like 50, and the tax is going to have to be more like 20%. Now, if the public won't allow a 20% increase in taxes, what's going to happen? They're going to start cutting back your medical care. They're going to start rationing your medical care. So for that reason and for a whole lot of others, and actually one other thing I want to talk about. Hidden in ColoradoCare is illegal aliens are entitled to health care as a matter of right, and even more profoundly, illegal aliens are given the vote, and illegal aliens are given the right to run and sit on the permanent board of trustees of ColoradoCare after the 3-year period is up. Now, that's kind of snuck into ColoradoCare, and regardless of how you feel about that issue, that's something that the public, that's a big change for Colorado. That doesn't exist in any other state. And if we're going to be the first state that gives votes to non-U.S. citizens, that should be publicly discussed, and Coloradans should make an affirmative decision on that. It shouldn't be snuck into a 12-page constitutional amendment. So, actually, I wanted to, Frankie, where's Frankie? Okay. There's a few ways you can help. One of them is make copies of this and pass it along to your neighbors. Read this and know the reasons Amendment 69 is bad, so when you're across the backyard fence and talks that you have over breakfast with a friend are the best politicking there is. So that's number one. The second thing is, my son back here's got a white bucket. I'm gonna have him pass it around. This is not cheap. Our videos cost $1,000 a minute to fight Amendment 69. So whatever you can put in, we would appreciate it. But even more important, drop a business card in there with your email address on it. Because what we're doing is we email out videos, we email out information. And if you take that and you forward that to 5 of your friends and ask them to forward it, we've had huge success. We've put out a video in Littleton, and people in Durango are calling us about it in 6 hours. So all you have to do is get our emails and then forward them on to your friends, and that's a form of activism that you can do. But really the most important is learn these points and tell your friends about it. Amendment 69 is bad news for Colorado, and I am so grateful, Bonnie, for that you asked me to come out here and talk and let me communicate about this. And I'm open for some quick questions if anybody has them. I see one way in the back there. I think, yeah, yeah, that's a great question and a great point. When health care becomes free for anybody who moves to Colorado, and that's what Amendment 69 claims to do, then people with very expensive chronic health conditions that live, if I lived in Nebraska and I was paying $100,000 a year for a chronic health condition, would I consider moving to Sterling? You betcha I would. And if I'm a high income earner and I can make the same money in Las Vegas or Cheyenne or Santa Fe or Kansas City, would I consider moving to Kansas City? Yeah. And so what's going to happen is Amendment 69 will profoundly change the makeup of the state of Colorado, because people with health problems, people here who are unlawfully here, anybody who wants free health care and doesn't want to have to pay for it, you move to Colorado. On the other hand, the people who are paying for it are going to tend to move away. So thank you for that's a very good question. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Actually, we've got a doctor here coming up. I know Dr. Jill Vecchio is my partner in the healthcare options that work. And a number of her friends are talking about either retiring or leaving the state and moving to another state. And I'm gonna what's that?
I think, yes, that's a very good point. And I think that already Colorado, just because it's not, because of its beautiful nature, doctors flock here and actually it's one of the lowest paid for doctors right now because of our environment, but I guarantee you good doctors will leave. And I mean, I'm not on the retirement close to, but many of my friends have had that discussion of the desire to leave the state. Yes.
Thank you, Michelle. Yes. Oh, yeah, this is actually one of those little corners of Amendment 69 that's amazing. How many people would like to be able to set their own salary? Okay. How many people would like to be able to set their own salary and not answer to anybody for the salary that they set? Okay, and we have some elected officials in here. I know my wife's one, and I know with the county clerks back here. How would you like to be able to draw the boundaries of your own district? Okay, that rocks, right? Because you can set who's the voter. Well, the Board of Trustees of ColoradoCare will get to draw its own boundaries. Who would like to be able to decide who can run for trustee and be on your board? Yeah. And who would like to be able to set the campaign finance laws for your own election? Okay. And who would like to be able to count the votes for your own election and certify your own election? I'm not exaggerating the size. This is right in Amendment 69. And not only that, if the people really get mad at them, the things that legislators and board members are most scared of is what? We had 3 of them in Colorado over the last few years. Recalls. Okay, you can't recall Board of Trustees members in ColoradoCare because it's right in Amendment 69, and that'll go into the Constitution. So this is set up so that even formally, after the 3-year period the trustees are elected, there is almost no citizen input to it because the politicians set all the rules for the election. And what that ends up being is a Politicians Relief Act. So, good question. Thank you. Any more? Bernie Sanders people, social justice warriors. They think that the world would be a better place if they got $38 billion of your money a year to control, and they got to determine your choices in healthcare. It's a worldview issue. They really see the world in terms of you make bad choices in your health care. And I see the world in terms of you and everybody in the audience are the people most qualified to make your own decisions about your health care. And that's a fundamental ideological split between people who see the free market as the direction to go and who see single payer as the direction to go. And understand, we're stuck in Obamacare right now, and it's a mess of a system. But the fact that the government has come in and messed up the system is not a reason to take the final step to complete government control, and that's what Amendment 69 is. Yes, ma'am.
ColoradoCare certainly does not fit into the category of people you talk about. Not only is she a senator, she's an MD. And she's not somebody who just decided she was going to invent ColoradoCare to make some money or have a fat salary. So I think that the reason I come to something like this is as I'm for ColoradoCare, I like to educate myself about the other point of view as well, because there are always good points of views, both for and against, and it's good to know. But to say that a bunch of fat cats are putting this together so they'll have big salaries simply does not fit in with the people who have promoted ColoradoCare. And anyone who doesn't know Senator Irene Aguilar, I suggest you go to her Facebook page or look it up in the Colorado Senate and see the wonderful work she does. She works in a low-income clinic in Denver in addition to being a state senator. So she's certainly one of the people who's behind Colorado.
Yes, and Senator Aguilar and T.J. Reid are the two principal public proponents of ColoradoCare. And whether or not you think the motivation is good or bad, the undeniable fact is that if ColoradoCare passes, Senator Aguilar and her group of people will have control of $38 billion a year, and that's the brass ring. And they will have control of your health care choices 100%, and that's the brass ring. Now, maybe their motives are noble, maybe their motives aren't noble, but the fact of what it's going to be is undeniable because that's straight off their webpage. Next question. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, and that's exactly what you've gotten. I don't know. I've debated with them on many occasions. There's nobody here today. I don't know. But what I would really encourage you to do is ColoradoCare, Amendment 69 is only 12 pages long. You can go up to our website, healthcareoptionsthatwork.org, and you can just go, click into the buttons, and the full text of Amendment 69 is there. Go read it. You will find that everything that I've said here today is an accurate statement of what's in there. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And also to answer your question, the forum was advertised in several papers, Yuma, Otis, in the Akron paper, I believe. So there was a public invitation